Welcome to Motivational Monday.
What's poppin' TikTok? It's your boy Chef Blinds here on the Blind Titans page. And I'm here with the brethren, my Blind Titans bro. Y'all introduce yourselves.
Hey, you guys, it's me, Dom, aka Blind Justice. Hey, everybody, Bill Goat, aka Bill 76.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Denzel, aka Emergency. And I am Herb, aka Schizo Be Blind.
And I'm Daniel, aka Rolling Blind.
Man, that's who we. Hey, wait, ain't we missing somebody? Oh, y'all said Dre gone. Well, Dre is absent, y'all. But hey, thank y'all for tuning in. And today, talk we have. I'm gonna hand it over to Bill. Bill, you want to tell them what we talking about today?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris, man.
No problem.
So, as you all know, this is awareness page for diabetes, dialysis, amputations, paraplegia, and one more. Mental health. There we go. So tonight we're going to talk about dialysis. Quite a few of us went through dialysis, and we just want to talk about our experience. So dialysis is when your kidney function shuts down, and you can't filter the impurities out of your body. Usually filter those impurities by urinating, but because of dialysis and affects your kidneys, you're not able to urinate, or you can't urinate enough to take out the impurities. So, but diabetes is one of the reasons why some of us, it's not the reason for the whole of dialysis, but diabetes also affects the kidney. And I'm going to ask Dom about that. Dom, how does diabetes affect kidneys or your heart or the other organs of the body?
Okay, so the diabetes would be considered a blood-borne illness, and the reason why this is because although the pancreas, well, like I said in one of the videos previously, the pancreas is what produces insulin. You're considered diabetic if your pancreas does not produce any insulin or enough insulin. That's when you're considered diabetic. Mm-hmm. So, although the pancreas does not necessarily have anything to do with the blood itself, this is a blood-borne illness because the insulin that the pancreas produces is what helps your blood cells to be able to transport the energy it needs to be able to, make your organs work properly. If you don't handle or if you don't take care of your diabetes, because it is a blood-borne illness, it has the possibility to affect all of your organs. Because let's face it, all of our organs need blood to run. So, some of the more commonly known ways that diabetes can affect us is diabetes can actually, you start talking about leg amputation or amputation of the extremities. Obviously because it doesn't have good blood flow. You can also get something called neuropathy, which is when your your nerve endings become damaged because you can't, sorry, I got distracted. Your nerve endings become damaged, and so then that loses the sensation in either your hands, your fingers, your feet, or your toes. Like you did say, Bill, some more commonly known ones is congestive heart failure or heart issues. High blood pressure is also associated with diabetes, and then a plethora of other things. But the way that diabetes is connected to the kidneys is, like you said earlier, the kidneys obviously need blood to run. And because the kidney's purpose of the job is to filter out your urine and your blood as well, if the kidneys are not working properly, then again, we're now starting to go down the danger zone.
Excuse me, Don, let me interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you say that diabetes also affects the blood flow to the eyes?
Y'all better listen up.
From that situation.
Diabetes is a real thing.
My bad. I'm sorry. So, again, one of the way I tell people is that, again, like I said earlier, if the organ operates off the blood, then essentially diabetes can affect it, because again, diabetes affects the blood. So, like you said, diabetes, or one of the more commonly known issues that are associated with diabetes and vision loss, is diabetic retinopathy. And would you like me to go into depth about that, or you want me to stay on the line with kidney failure?
Hold on a second, y'all. So, what's up, Dre? Hey, Marianne, how you doing? Marianne said,
Hey,
Hey, Marianne, what they do, Dre?
everybody.
We need
All
you
right.
here where you at, bro.
So do you want me to keep going about diabetic retinopathy or go on kidney failure?
No, you can go back on kidney failure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. So again, like I was saying, again, with the kidneys, with the purpose of the kidneys, and actually the liver as well, but with the purpose of the kidney to be to filter out the impurities in the body, I don't know why I can't speak tonight, to filter out the impurities in the body with urine and also with blood. If there's not a good supply of blood flowing through the kidneys, you can start going into kidney damage. Herb and Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that there are 5 stages of kidney failure. Is it 5 stages or 4?
I think.
Yeah, because I was 5. I was at 5.
4, yeah, 4 or 5. It is 4 or 5.
Yeah, mine's reached 5.
I just know when they said end stage, renal failure.
End stage renal failure, right? So you guys are y'all going right down the same path with me. So again, you guys, when your kidneys are functioning normally, I want you to remember this name. When you get labs done with your doctor, you're looking at your creatinine. Your creatinine is the number of the test that they
Watch
run
out kidneys,
that'll
man.
tell you the significance on how your kidney
Diabetic,
is
high
being
blood pressure,
is
all
functioning.
that. Watch
Okay?
out kidneys.
You have, again, 5 levels of kidney failure. Once you reach level 4, they're going to start preparing you for dialysis. When you reach level 5 is when you are in end-stage renal failure. Okay? Now, I feel like am I going too far? Should I keep going, Bill? I'm sorry.
No. Talk whatever you're going to talk.
So again, when you reach level 5, you are officially in end-stage renal failure.
Yo,
Now,
let me ask you a question.
yes.
You say end-stage renal failure. I mean, that's kind of scary when you hear it.
Correct.
That's something that once you get that far, it's doomsday.
We all need our kidneys to function. Essentially, without your kidneys functioning, your body is not able to get rid of the impurities that are in your body.
But it is dialysis enough.
Rid of all that waste and all.
As far as
Contain that
being
in
able
your
to
in your
survive,
body?
Yes.
Not good.
absolutely. So typically once you reach end-stage renal failure and your kidneys shut down, and I want to go ahead and clarify, a lot of doctors will start you on the dialysis process even if you have not reached end-stage renal failure. So I can't wait for the guys to tell a little bit about their story. But there are a lot of people who are on dialysis but have not reached the complete end of the renal failure. But again, like I said, with that being said, if you are at the end stage of renal failure, you essentially now you're going to need to have dialysis. And part of the reason is because, one, your kidneys are not functioning, so they can't get rid of the impurities. But another sign of end stage renal failure is that you're now no longer producing urine. So essentially now your body has no way of getting rid of that waste and that extra fluid that you're retaining. So now you have to have the dialysis process to get rid of the extra fluid and the impurities out of your body.
All right, Diane, let me come back to you. Let me talk to Irv and Christian. So there's 2 types of diabetes. I'm a hemodiabetic, which means I have to do my diabetes inside the clinic. But
Dialysis.
My dialysis, I'm sorry.
Blooper! He said that.
Let's talk about what type of dialysis you do. Let's go with you first, sir. What type of diabetes you do? And the pros and cons of it.
Well, I did both of them, but the one hemodialysis, I feel the pros to it is that you only have to go, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 4 hours at the most. That's the time that you run on the machine. And it also is aggressive, so it will get more fluid out. The cons to it is that it is also aggressive, and it can alter the way you feel after. After dialysis, you can be tired, weak, and things like that.
Like I said, I do the hemodialysis also. And when Herb says that it's aggressive, it is very aggressive because when they do it, your blood pressure drops. And my blood pressure dropped so much where I just completely passed out, and they had to sit me up and do all the other stuff. It's very aggressive. But yeah, for me, that's
Diabetes,
definitely coming.
kidneys, all the organs that diabetes can destroy.
Yes.
Chris, how about you? What do you do and pros and cons of it?
Well, you know, I had already received my transplant, but I did that's PD. I did PD dialysis. It's like you do it at home. You can either do it like in the morning or you can do it in night. So I did mine at night because they was like, if I do it at night, it's like I did it while I was asleep. So when I was asleep, it was operating like the machine. It's like you hook up 3 bags to the machine, and it depends on what color you use by going by your blood pressure. So like if I was high blood pressure, I put like 2 red bags in the green. If it was a good blood pressure, I put like just all green bags. And like you know, Herb, he went with the pros and cons. I say the pro with that, I'm at home. Cause basically I did mine at night and I was asleep. The con with that, I hate doing it every night, but hey, it got it done. It got it done. I just didn't want to go to that machine, the clinic, cause how y'all was talking and how my mama said that my daddy was on dialysis and he was doing what y'all was doing. It was destroying him, like making him real dark and all that in his area, like where he had his at. And yeah, that's what I did, the PD. And it took like, I had a lot of fluid around my body, and every time I woke up in the morning, I was like, the fluid was gone, but it instantly come right back like late that night while I'm about to go get on dialysis.
Chris, that's what I hated. That's the one thing I did hate about it. But I also wanted to say, Vicky said, "Hey, fellas, y'all."
Hey, Vicky.
El Presidente.
And let me ask y'all a question, cause you know since my mama said about my daddy, wherever y'all got y'all thing or had y'all thing, did it make y'all like dark in that area?
Oh yeah, it changed my whole skin tone. Yes, it did.
Oh shit. Oh, excuse my language. TikTok.
So, well, go ahead, Dale.
No, I was going to, I don't know if you can see this, but see if I can.
Hold on, let me.
Can you see my arm? Are you able to see my arm?
I'm putting you full screen. I'm showing TikTok. Y'all see his arm back there on the wall? That's like the dark spot of where his thing did him to make his arm dark. B, you want to describe that to them? Out of your description.
So I had to have surgery, and they had to put a graft into my arm. I think all the graft is, I'm not exactly sure, so I'm going to make a mistake, Dominic. Talk to me.
Okay, so and I thought I was actually gonna jump in for those who are listening and maybe like, what are they talking about? So, like they were talking about, there's something called hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis. When you go through hemodialysis, you're actually going into a clinic and they're hooking you up to a machine. This machine is going to take your blood out of your body, a significant amount of your blood, filter it out, and then replace it in your body, essentially doing the work of what your kidneys would do. This is very taxing on the body because, again, it's having to pull out and then put back in. Now, there's 3 ways that they can get this done. obviously you're thinking, well, how do they take such large amount of blood out? The first way is through a catheter. Now, you may have seen a catheter before. You can get it put into multiple parts of your body, but essentially it is a PICC line that goes into one of your arteries. Your arteries from your heart are the larger, imagine veins, but they're larger veins that come from your heart, and then capillaries and then regular veins branch off from the arteries. So essentially, your catheter is a PICC line, or imagine like a straw that is going into your arteries to be able to draw out large portions of blood and then put back in large portions of blood. You can't get a PICC line wet or a catheter wet, because if you get it wet, that fluid going directly into your heart.
So, Don,
Yes.
I'm gonna say I'm coming back. I'm coming off you. How you said that, like it reminds me about a con with the PD one I did.
Yes.
Be careful, cause that junk do
Yeah.
get snatched out your waist where you wherever you got it. It can get snatched out.
That's
And I did
right.
that. I did that like 2 times where I had to go back in the operating room and get surgery to get it back.
Correct. Yeah. So,
one more thing, though.
Yes.
Talking about that catheter, they don't want that into your body that long, because, as Dom said, it goes directly into your heart.
Correct.
You get bacteria or dirt in there, directly into your heart.
Infection or anything.
That's the most reason, because of the infection. That's
Correct.
That's the reason.
Yeah, and essentially, like you said, it's a direct line straight to your heart. So essentially, with a lot of things involving your heart, they tell you that anything that's in your bloodstream that ain't supposed to be there, once it makes it to your heart, you can cancel it. You up out of here. So that's why, like I said, obviously they have to do the catheter at first. But typically, if they can get it out as soon as possible, they will get it out as soon as possible.
Yep, they call it a temporary catheter.
Yep, correct. Now, the other 2 things, what Bill was actually referring to when he showed you guys on camera, is actually called a graft, or a fistula. And essentially, what he was talking about when he spoke about surgery is they physically go in and cut the muscle in either your inner upper arm on either the left or the right, or in your thigh, in the upper part of the inside of either thigh. They cut the muscle and go down and bring the artery to the surface of the actual muscle, and then let your skin heal over it. And so that way, if they need to, when they go to dialyze you, they can just stick you with larger gauge needles to be able to filter out your blood that way, because now your artery is not sitting below your muscle, it's sitting on top of your muscle, and they can just stick you, and then that way filter out large portions of blood.
Woo!
Yeah. Now, like Bill said, a lot of times, typically because now you're having to dialyze multiple times a week, it is going to start to turn colors and darker skins and stuff like that. And then what Christian was referring to, which is called peritoneal dialysis.
There you go. Peritoneal.
Peritoneal dialysis.
AKA PD.
AKA PD, essentially is now, instead of filtering out your blood through a filtration system, you now can dialyze at home. Now, the thing with this is that this particular system is actually going to be pulling the fluid out of your body.
Yeah,
so that's why they said.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it do run. It goes in probably about like 6-7 times, and then it come out about 6-7 times until until the morning.
Correct. So it's pulling out that extra fluid that your body is collecting. So a lot of times, which is, typically you're going to run longer for peritoneal dialysis, but because it's only pulling out fluid, you're going to have to do it every single day, because, during the day we do things, we contain fluid, Right. But the reason why you can only do dialysis a certain amount of times a week is because, like they said earlier, the dialysis process is very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. So that's why you tend to see people really weak.
Can I ask Christian a question?
Go ahead, yeah.
For sure.
What's up, G?
Since you did the peritoneal, and I don't know if everybody picked up on this. Dom said it quickly, but you have to stick yourself every time with needles. And in my case, it's every time large needles. Did you do that, or did you have a nurse that did that for you?
I didn't have to get poked with a needle. It's like
No?
I had like a little tube coming out my waistline, like
Okay.
right there by like closer to my belly button, like
Yeah.
inches away from it, and it was like a little tube hanging out, and the machine had like another long tube where it stretched out, and I just
Okay.
clip it to that tube, and I'm good.
So you had like a catheter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's what it is.
For those of us who have a graft or fistula, do you have to get needles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine was a 16 gauge.
Is that large or small?
I think that's the biggest one, the biggest they got.
Yeah, so essentially, so when you're talking about gauges on a needle, the higher the number is going to be so imagine like a straw. The higher the number, the wider the straw gets, because it's got to be able to let more fluid flow through it. So if you're talking about like a 6 or an 8, as your number goes up, imagine the straw getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what gauge means.
Well, if I'm talking about my experience with the hemodialysis, I hate it, and I'm gonna say my pros and cons.
Okay.
My pros are I can't find a lot of pros. I mean, to be honest with you, it's just a bad experience for me. I mean,
the only alive.
Yeah, it's saving my life. I mean,
Yeah, that's a pro.
That's definitely a pro.
Right.
So, when I don't want to go, I want to focus on that, because if you miss a day, you will know that you miss a day. It's not a good situation when you do. But the cons are, you gotta go 3 days a week for 4.5 hours a day. That's pretty rough. Another con is, as Urge says, they stick them with the 16 gauge needle. They stick me with a 15 gauge, which is also pretty big. And they stick you twice every time you go. So it's an experience. Also, when they take you off the machine, for some reason, I know that I have a difficult access point, which is my graft, and they don't put experienced nurses on. They should, but they have a tendency of putting new nurses on to practice to make sure they can get me. And when they do that, they pull the needles out. I bleed all over the place. So, the nurses have to come in and take care of you and do all this other stuff. So, that's definitely a con for me. But all those cons can't beat the number one pro. The one pro which is saving my life. So, I even though I go through those cons, I'm happy because of those pros. Dialysis is an experience. I meet some great nurses. A lot of the nurses are traveling nurses. So even though they're here today, they might not be here tomorrow because they have to go to Alabama or something like that. But other than that, it's a pretty good experience. No, I'm sorry. Not a good experience, but it is an experience.
I want to
I'm not going to read that comment.
Look, y'all. I'm telling you, diabetes, dialysis, all this is real. Swear to God, y'all, I'm gonna go through it.
Oh my God. Anyway, but I did want to throw this out there too, to let people know. Again, keep in mind, like most illnesses, it's going to depend on the person. So again, some people may need a certain amount of time. Some people may need a heavier treatment. So again, just keep in mind that, the experiences that they're talking about may not necessarily be indicative of what you have to go through. But I did want to say that dialysis is going to be one of those types of treatments that if you can get off of it and possibly qualify for a kidney transplant, you need to do so. Because again, although, like Bill said, this process is keeping you alive, this is not a process that the body ultimately is intended to do. So another, yeah.
When you're done, Dom, I got a fun fact.
Okay. So again, keep it in mind that because this is not a process that the body is naturally meant to do, it's going to be taxing. So a lot of times you will, and I'm sure if you ask somebody who may have been on dialysis before, I'm sure that even these fellas on here, they'll probably tell you that they've heard a lot of bad stories as far as people and what has happened to them on the machines and in hospitals and stuff like that. But just keep in mind that because this is not a natural, this is not what the body is intended to do. Sometimes it can be very hard on a lot of people and not as hard on some.
Hey, hold, Herb, before you say what you had to say, I don't say what you said, dumb. Make
Somebody
sure,
had to turn down the music a little bit.
hey, make sure you tell your who if y'all going through this and on dialysis, make sure y'all tell y'all doctor to put y'all on kidney and pancreas, cause that's the best way to go. Cause I was like lost when Herb said he still was a diabetic. I was like, damn, I ain't give you
That
no.
was insurance issues.
Oh, okay. Oh wait, make sure y'all insurance can get both of those.
Right.
Wow.
And I got a question after Irv.
Oh well, the fun fact that I was gonna say is even though dialysis filters your blood, it does not filter your blood. Even when you get it, it does not filter your blood like normally. Like the if I can't remember the numbers, but the numbers don't add up with you doing dialysis.
As opposed to having a working kidney,
As opposed to having a working kidney. So
Right.
yes, it's keeping you alive, but it's not nearly as good as having a kidney. So getting a transplant would be better.
The best alternative, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Go ahead, Dick.
Okay, so my question, and I want to know from you guys who have done dialysis and doing it, if you guys, doing it now, and it's a trigger, please let me know and feel free not to answer the question. When you now are going through the dialysis process, you're told about the kidney failure and diabetes and things like that. Hopefully I said that right.
You did.
What is one thinking at this point, or how did you guys feel about it once you were told the process that you would go through as far as dialysis and things like that?
Let me go first.
Oh, okay.
When I was told that I had dialysis, you gotta remember, I lost my eyesight, my kidneys failed in the span of 1 month. So I was really broken up. I had to leave my job and everything. So when they told me about dialysis, I thought that was a death sentence. I can remember sitting on my couch. I can remember, just feeling sick, figuring out, what's gonna happen at my funeral, how my kids gonna be taken care of, how the savings gonna be divided between all the kids. I mean, I was just distraught. I didn't know what to do. But luckily, my sister is a manager at a renal center, so she just talked me through everything, taught me how dialysis can help me, and that I'll definitely get on transfer list. So, transplant, sorry. It was kind of scary at first, but, I had somebody to walk me through it. Then this group started, and I got in touch with a lot of people who not only was blind, but who also went through kidney failure, went through dialysis, then went through the transplant. So that made a whole lot easier.
So I would say about me, when I found out, like Bill said, I can remember like literally what went down. I was in my room. My mama came back to the house. She called me to the living room and she was like, "Your doctor said you gotta be on dialysis." And I'm talking about I broke down where I went to my room and was in there for a whole 3 days. I didn't want to come out because I was like, man, I'm destroying myself that bad. I thought I was literally finna give up, but I was like, nah. But I always was blind before my dialysis. So yeah, that's me.
Dominic Irv.
Well, when my kidneys started failing, I was working. I was actually working up until the day I got admitted to do so because of, once again, insurance issues.
Yes, sure. y'all insurance is good to get a pancreas and kidney transplant if y'all are diabetic and about to be on dialysis.
A shock value because I was going through it kind of slowly. That they were declining at every time I went. So I already kind of knew that dialysis was going to come. But my biggest motivation is my kids. I don't want my kids to think when they get older, something happens that they need to give up. So I had to put on a good face for my kids. I want them to see that I went through a lot of things and, it didn't waver me. Even though I do have days where I'm down and out, but I don't let them see those days. I let them see that, my dad is still kicking and pushing.
Me personally, and my story is probably very similar. I will say, out of all of my health issues, kidney failure was the very, very last, atomic bomb that dropped. Kind of like Irv, I think they caught mine at stage 3. So the same thing, it was like, okay, well, we know it's coming, but we're catching it early enough to where we can prepare you for it. I know for myself, well, let me say for myself, I have family members who are on dialysis right now as well. But you always hear, like I said earlier, you always hear such horror stories. What it does to the body, how taxing it is on the body, the horror stories that happen while people are on dialysis. But because I've heard so many of them, it just, like Bill said, it just automatically seemed like a death sentence. I think it took for me having to interact with people who were still doing dialysis, but were still living a productive life. And I'll never forget the first day that I went in. The lady, I think I might have been mid-20s. And so the head nurse in the clinic, so she wasn't, my particular nurse, but she was the head nurse in the clinic that I went to. She was like, "Oh yeah, you're way too young for this." She was like, "We're gonna get you a transplant." And so that was to Christian's point, that was my first time ever hearing about a pancreas transplant. So she was bound and determined, and she used to always make this statement about, you got places to go. You got to get out on the beach and be in the water, and you can't do that on no dialysis machine. So I said, okay. And look, it's as sure as, shit stink. In 2 years, I was on dialysis and I had a kidney and pancreas. So, it definitely is a journey. But I definitely do like to tell people that, again, although it is not going to be easy, by a long shot, it is not going to be easy. And there's a lot of other contributing factors that can take place. You can live a productive life while doing dialysis. It is possible, but again,
I got a question.
Yeah.
This is for you, Dom, Bill, and Irv, since Dre ain't here. Dom, how many calls did it take, and how many years was you on dialysis?
You said how many calls for what?
To get your transplant.
The funniest thing is I actually got my transplant through Emory University. As soon as I went there, bam, 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 I was on it. It blew my mind how quick I got approved and was on it, especially considering the poor management on my part in the past. But 2 years, like literally 2 years to the date. November 1st is my transplant anniversary. But 2 years to the date, they called me and they called me on in. So I've heard a lot of horror stories about, waiting and getting approved and this, that, and the other, but mine was pretty easy.
Yeah, I got approved. After going through all the precautionary tests or the workup. Yeah, the colonoscopy, the stress test, all that stuff. Once I went through all that, I pretty much got approved. As far as being on dialysis, we're in May. So yeah, 2 years ago, this May, 2 years ago this month, I've been on dialysis. And it's been I'm on the transplant list. I get phone calls from transplant people. They stay in contact, but no, I haven't got a transplant list. Transplant kit.
Okay, so I was on dialysis for maybe 4 years, I believe, including like the 3 on hemo and the 1 on peritoneum. But during that time, I got 5 calls. 4 where they just told me that I was, within the 6 people that they had to call, but most likely I wasn't gonna get it. But the 5th call was the only call I actually had to come to the hospital, and then I got it on that call that day. And it happened. I feel like it happened really quick.
Let me ask you this question. So they gave you a call, even though they might have considered somebody else for the kidney?
Oh, most definitely. So when they the way, I don't know how, if every hospital does it, but the hospital I went to, once they put what the kidney they have and all the numbers and stuff, the computer spits out from their database. The computer spits out everybody like who's a match. So they have to call like 6 people just so if if everybody else doesn't pan out, they got other people on standby. So funny story about my call that 5th time. They called me and told me just to be on standby. It was a really good kidney. They don't think it would come to me. I was 2nd on the list that day. So that was actually immediately after, like an hour after I came home from dialysis. So she just told me stand by, and she ended up calling me back like an hour or 2 later and telling me congratulations that, the kidney is coming to me. Well, I got to the hospital so fast that the guy that the kidney was originally for was still in the room when I got there. So if it didn't work out for me, then they would call the 3rd person. So that's why they call so many people, because the longer that kidney is on ice, the longer it might take for the kidney to wake up.
Yeah, typically they and I was gonna jump in real quick. For those who are watching and may not know exactly what they're referring to, when you get put on the kidney transplant list, the call that they're referring to is when the hospital calls you to say, hey, the organ is ready to get up here. Typically most hospitals, and I'm again, like you said, Earth, a lot of hospitals probably do it differently. But they will usually give you a time limit to come up and receive the organ, and if you can't make it up there in that amount of time, they will move on to the next person. But I also wanted to throw this in there as well. And I don't know if you're aware of this bill, since you're actually still on the list. I think a lot of people look at it as a list like, okay, now I'm in the 12th position, and then when the next kidney comes down, I'll be in the 11th, and then I'm gonna be it doesn't work like that. You have to remember that these kidneys are different. So because these kidneys, obviously it's like Herb said, it's a lot of different numbers and values that go into place. So you got blood type, and then, is it going to be a match for you, and then all of those things. So this kidney, you may be 12th on the list. The next kidney, you may be 2nd on the list. And then the next kidney, you may be 44th on the list. So it really just depends on when the kidney that's going to be the kidney that's going to be the closest match to you comes up. That's when that's going to dictate exactly where you're going to be at on the list.
What I often say about me, about how long I was on dialysis 3 years. I had 5 calls, and it was on my 5th call. And like the oldest calls, it was either the pancreas was too big, the kidney was too big, they was too small, or they didn't match. But when it came like to that 5th call, like Herb said, he said the dude before him was still there. I wasn't not gonna get my kidney, cause I was scared. And how my mama, some people believe in that superstitious stuff. Mm-hmm. So when I received my 5th call, it was on Friday 13th, and how my mama was in the hospital, because everything that I'm going through is like I'm just like a copy from my dad. Like my dad lost his vision, he was on dialysis because of diabetes and all that, and like when he got his transplant, he died like 25, 30 minutes later from after his transplant. So me about to go down to get my transplant and how my mama was reacting, boy, that it was like in my mind I was like, I don't want to do this. But I was like, hey mom, stop thinking like that. Hey, you know, it may be happen to my dad, but hey, it's not gonna happen to me. So we went down there, came back, hey, that was good. So my anniversary is oh, excuse me, March 13th.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I have a question for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I just say something real quick, Daniel, before you go? It's amazing to me that you guys have 5 calls. When I tell you, I didn't get not one call. Not one. I mean, literally, I got on the list, and on November the 1st, after 2 years, they called me the first time. That literally, no, be ready, you could be coming
lucky
up.
Man.
It was just
He's a lucky man.
November the 1st was the call, and that's the transplant I got. So that's weird to me. But go ahead, Daniel.
2 things that for the transplants, right? Whenever the kidneys and what was the other one?
Pancreas.
All right. So, is there any signs, like, did you guys had any, symptoms and stuff when they were shutting down?
So I can say you one.
Pause
I can say.
real quick. Hold on real quick.
Right.
Chris, somebody in the comments says, please turn the music down a little, please.
See, that hoe gonna be off then. Yeah, that hoe
And,
down
we
there.
might have to have it off, because what about when we put it on YouTube? Would we get it taken down?
I don't know. Oh yeah, I turned that hoe down. But your question, how I found out that my kidneys and whatever was getting bad, I couldn't use it like that no more. I'm talking about I go about 3 days without using the bathroom.
Yeah, that's going to be the most common one, is you're not urinating regularly.
Is it both or only for pee?
To urinate, not...
Okay.
Urinate. Mm-hmm.
Or, you know how we knew? My feet swelled up like maybe 2.5 sizes bigger. I mean, it was just... I wear size 12, and I couldn't put my shoe on.
This may sound crazy and nasty, but how I kind of found out as well, I was working, and when I went, like, I asked my supervisor could I go to the bathroom, because I was like, hey, something ain't right. And the way I was walking to the bathroom, I knew something wasn't right. So I went to the bathroom, and I'm talking about when I saw, man's was like swole. Off of fluid.
So,
I was like, whoa.
So, Chris, I'm gonna piggyback off that. Like I said, y'all, I've been, I knew my kidneys were failing, and I was still working. I was waiting for my insurance to kick in so that I wouldn't, have a large hospital bill and all of that stuff. But when I tell you, my lower half of my body was like Squidward on SpongeBob when Squidward ate all those crabs.
Oh my god!
Go straight to your eyes. But the crazy thing is, it all links back to what Christian said, because if you're not, again, keeping in mind, Daniel, with your kidneys, because you're supposed to help you, get rid of that fluid.
That waste, all that negative waste.
You're right. All of that is being backed up into your body. So then that's hence why the body is starting to swell, because it's not getting rid of all of that stuff.
I'm talking
I had about so my weight right now is like 150, in between 150 and 155, right? When I went into the hospital for the kidney stuff, I weighed 215, 16 pounds. So all of that, in between that, was water weight, like fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working, carrying that shit around with me. Wow.
So let me ask you a
I was
question.
trapped in my body. Yes.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If a person is 215 pounds and have a lot of muscle on them, will they lose that doing dialysis? Can it get down to like 150, 160 on dialysis, even though all that weight is not water weight?
Yeah, I guess if they don't, because another con about hemodialysis is a lot of people don't have appetites. So not having an appetite, you could potentially lose weight also, because you always doing dialysis. So at least on the days where you do dialysis, you don't have an appetite. I mean,
What about
Okay,
now?
he's back now. Keep going.
Okay, so I didn't know where I stopped at, but I'll just say, like I said, it's a side. It'll be a side effect of the dialysis, because again, when you get on dialysis, your body starts to change, and one of the things is you do start to lose your appetite. So because you're losing your appetite and you're not eating as much, that's when your muscles and the fat content of your body will go away. So it's more of like the side products of dialysis that will make you start to lose weight.
Man, I'm talking about I didn't even have an appetite. No, I had to force myself to eat, even with the PD.
See, me after PD, you don't have an appetite, because where the fluid goes, it lifts your stomach. So it gives your stomach the illusion that you're.
Let me, this is just a silly question. When y'all got on dialysis and they told y'all something that y'all couldn't do, how did y'all feel? When the lady told me I couldn't eat corn no more, I was hurt. I was hurt.
Why you couldn't eat corn?
Yeah, cause corn was the one that brought my phosphorus up.
So,
Okay.
a phosphorus one for me was potatoes. Y'all, I am a meat and potatoes guy through and through. And so I don't eat sweets, candies, cookies, cakes, pie, none of that. But ever since a little kid, I was always meat and potatoes, like legit, like potatoes. And so you can, and one of the things is they tell you, like, so for instance, you're gonna have to see a dietarian and stuff like that, and they'll tell you like, okay, well, you can eat potatoes, but you got to do this and you got to. And I'm like, oh man, I
don't even want to
eat the potato. Yeah, I just doing all of that. So again, it's one of those things that probably was the most devastating thing for me.
So Dom, to pick up off the potato thing, I think one way they say is soak it in water for 24 hours. That's one way that you're probably talking about. Like, no. But the other way that I found out is that you boil a potato for 10 minutes, and it does the same thing as
letting it sit.
Letting it sit for 24 hours. But for me, what?
Does that mean you can eat?
Yeah. It won't take all of it out, but it will help.
What was that?
So the one thing that I was like, oh man, the one thing I did not stop eating was cheese. So I cut out all of the other stuff like yogurt, milk, chocolate, peanut butter, all of that.
All hurt me.
I did not stop eating cheese. I did not stop. And I was open about that. I'm like, yeah, only thing I eat is cheese. I can't. Cheese is on everything. Everything you can put cheese on.
So, what I was trying to say, for the people that don't know what phosphorus is, it's a number. If it get higher, what was it? I think
6, right?
Yeah, if it get over 6, and you don't know what it will do, it will make you itch like you gonna itch yourself to death.
Oh yeah, I feel like I used to have been digging in my bed.
I'm talking about digging, cuz like I was like, Jesus Christ, like I was like, I don't like this.
When I first got on it, and the nurse manager explained that to me, I was like, wow, that's why I've been scratching like that.
I'm talking. Well, I went the first time I experienced that itching spell. I went in there and she was like, "You alright?" I was like, no, I'm itching like I can't stop." And she was like, let me take a lumber. And she was like, "What you been eating?" I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "You been eating like corn or milk or something?" I was like, "Yeah." Like how I found out with the corn. I was going across the street and getting a corn in a cup. That little thing Daniel be talking about. I'm eating that down there every day and not knowing that it was bringing up my phosphorus.
So if
you about to say? Oh, I thought it was about to say something.
Yeah, I had a question.
Good.
And I don't know if I missed it or not, but we all know that diabetes and kidney failure is nothing to play with. So can diabetes cause other health issues? High blood pressure,
Yes, sir.
nerve
Yeah.
damage,
Heart murmur.
all of the above.
I'm talking about all of it.
Yeah, I think I had mentioned that at the beginning, Denzel, but yeah, you're right. It does. Yeah. I wanted to throw this in there too because I know you guys were talking about phosphorus and just kind of wanted to, I guess, clarify it. Phosphorus, as you guys see, is a chemical that's in food, and when you're going through kidney failure, phosphorus is one of the chemicals that your kidney either cannot or will have difficult time removing, and so that's why they tend to try to tell you to keep your phosphorus in a certain level. It also does something with the calcium in your bones as well. I don't know if I'm trying to remember if it pulls the calcium out of your bones or something like that. But either way, it affects the calcium in your bone as well. So they're saying that with the phosphorus, that's one of the reasons. What they're saying, like as far as numbers and stuff like that, that's what phosphorus is. It's a chemical that your kidneys have a hard time, filtering.
I think they have
Dom, I got a couple of comments.
Go ahead.
Chip said hey, and also Chip said Chris, he loved this. They love the setup.
Hey, appreciate that.
What's going on, Chips?
That's Annabelle.
That's Annabelle.
Chips and dips, cuz. Annabelle.
Go ahead, Bill. What were you going to
Chips is Annabelle?
Yeah, cuz. That's Annabelle.
Yeah, that's Annabelle.
I didn't know that.
You said what? Oh, go ahead.
I think when we're talking about things we cannot have, one of the worst ones for me is melon, cantaloupe, honeydew. And
Wait, what?
it's going to hurt. We can't have watermelon at all.
Yeah.
Man,
because
that's
they
fluid.
They have a high water content.
they ain't tell me that shit.
It hurt because I love everything watermelon. You can give me watermelon bread. I'm going to eat that. No matter what.
Watermelon bread.
Is that a thing?
No, I wish they did.
If he talking about it, I bet it's gonna be in the stores real soon.
There you go.
They listening to us.
Watermelon bread by Petra's Farms.
Wow.
And it's another. Oh no, I lost it. Never mind. Jesus, laughing at Bill. Jesus.
Yeah, but cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, they have a very high water content. So, they told you can have a piece, but they showed me the piece of water on. I wanted to hit that lady. She had no idea what this little small sliver of watermelon. I can't eat that.
And another thing that I was hard headed. Like one of my nurses told me, like when she seen all my tattoos, she was like, "I'm glad you got all those because you can't get no tattoos when you out on dialysis."
Yeah.
And when she said that, and like she told me that, I was like, in my head, I was like, but I'm going like 2 weeks later to go get one. And that's when I got my the dragon one. I was like, and when I came back in, she was like, that's a new one. I was like, yeah. She was like, what I tell you? I was like, I didn't know I was gonna be on dialysis.
Did it affect you in any way?
No, not really.
No.
Mm-mm.
I think I don't know. I ain't no doctor, but I think it's more of a precautionary thing why they tell you not to get tattoos because again, if you get infected or if something happens with the ink being introduced to your body, then again, like I said, what's the purpose of the kidneys? So I think it's more precautionary.
I don't think that was really the usual. It just hit slow. And that was about it.
So, I got another comment. I think it's Leimana. The blind revealer says, "What's up, fellas? Dropping knowledge. I see." And then what's the last part? I'm proud of you guys.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you,
sounds like Leimana is. That is Leimana.
That's what we do. I think that's his username.
Oh.
Huh?
I don't know. It just sounds like something he would say. It just sounds like the verbiage sounds like him.
Like Leimana?
Yeah. It's the
Daniel, we good?
Huh?
Are we good?
Yeah, we're still good.
All right.
Like 5 more, I think.
Okay. So, guys, we're closing it up shortly. Does anybody have anything to say?
Last 5
Any
minutes.
questions?
How they be in the store? We're about to shut off in 5 minutes.
Welcome.
Oh wow.
5 minutes, and we'll be shutting off. Any questions?
I got one last
Dre's
question.
here.
Not all
What,
answer at one. Oh, Dre, you in
Got
here,
questions.
cuz?
Got questions.
Yeah, I got last
Denzel,
question.
Go ahead,
Too
dude.
much fun, bro.
Denzel got a question, y'all.
Matter,
Denzel.
hey, we gotta ask Dre all these questions too.
Denzel.
So
Drake did leave a comment. I couldn't find it.
So we talked about everything from top to bottom, close to top to bottom. So should people start paying attention to that stuff if they think they have signs of diabetes / kidney failure? How serious they go to the doctors? All that.
That's a big yes. That's a big yes. I'm talking about don't even wait.
Early detection
Hold
is
on,
the
two
key,
people
bro.
talking.
They asked 2 people to talk at the same time.
That's a big yes, cuz. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that early detection is key, so yes. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you gonna get that answer from all of us.
I'm talking.
Give me some more information. You know, how should they go
I'm talking about the first
going to
time.
the
The
doctor?
first time you thirsty every day, doctor. You tired and don't want to do nothing, doctor. You barely using it, doctor. All that. Your eyesight kind of looking weird, doctor.
Say
What
that
you say,
again.
Dre?
I said, you could just go for a regular doctor visit and like, hey, could you check my A1C?
Oh yeah.
There we go. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah,
There we go.
That's good.
Well, I'm gonna take a different approach. I mean, I definitely think that it's important to check those things, diabetes and stuff like that. But I think the overall thing is just to remember to just live a healthier lifestyle. I think if you can do that, I think naturally, if you're exercising more, if you're eating right, and again, all of it, mind, body, all of that goes into play. And I think if you can do that, then that in a way is going to answer a lot of those questions. Because like I said earlier, if you're paying attention to things that are happening to your body or the changes that's going on with your body, then naturally you're going to, be more apt to wanting to fix it if you're more conscious of exactly what your body is doing and going.
Mm-hmm.
Understood.
So, Dre, I got a few questions to ask you, Dre, before we get up out here. You still here?
Yes, sir.
How long you been on dialysis right now?
Been 2 years.
2 years. Have you had a call yet?
I have, but they said they couldn't get over it.
Okay. And one more.
I gotta do better on this connection thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I can barely hear you, Dre.
sound like somebody running some water.
Oh, my fault.
And one more question. When you found out you was on dialysis, you had to get on dialysis. What was your reaction?
Hey, man, I ain't even gonna hold you, bro. I gave up. I feel like my life was over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. True that.
That was one of my biggest fears, man, being on dialysis.
Hey, Dre, I don't know if you heard it, but I said the same thing. I thought it was a deficit.
Yeah.
All over the floor.
And then it make it so bad. One of the nurses was like, "Hey, I know somebody who was losing their vision on dialysis. They died real quick."
See, that's one thing I don't like when doctors talk like that.
They
Ugh.
was talking like around me, but I heard them, man. I was like,
Like y'all could have took that to another room. Why y'all standing right here?
So I have a question that I want to find out, right? So
We have
the
to
people
wrap
who-
it up after that, guys.
Okay, one more question. So the people who have fistulas or grafts, right? So when losing your sight, so my left eye, my fistula's on my left side, but I am completely blind in my left eye. Is that the same for anybody else? That the eye that they have the least sight in is the side that they get dialysis on.
And it seems like, cause I'm completely blind in my left eye, and mine is on my left eye.
Wow, that's a good one, cause
Siri,
I'm
stop
I'm
timer.
completely blind in my right one. That's where they put mine.
Yeah, but I'm the opposite. I'm completely blind on my right, and they do dialysis on my left. And I was blind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
My first thought is, I mean, and maybe it is some type of correlation, Herb, that I'm not aware of. But I know that typically when they choose a side, they just try to use your less dominant arm or leg. Right. Have done in your leg, but they just try to go with your less dominant.
The reason I asked because my sight was like declining, but it got worse on the left side after I started dialysis type thing.
Yeah, that was a good question.
All right, guys. Well, I thank you all for just helping out tonight. I don't know about you, but I've gotten a lot of information that I did not know, and I appreciate that.
Wait, what you said?
Huh?
No,
he was agreeing with you.
I'm not bad. Yeah, I was agreeing.
Well, Memphis boy. I definitely appreciate you guys. Just say good night, guys.
Hey, thank y'all for tuning in, watching the Blind Titans, and we are out of here.
Remember, we'll be back Thursday.
Hey, it's like a hello and a good night.
All right, y'all. We out.
Blind Titan out. Blind Titan out.
Blind Titans out.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, Blind Titans out.